I think Master of Harmony is going through an identity crisis right now, at least for Brewmaster. In this video, I want to dissect the problems with Master of Harmony. I want to talk about some of the things that I do enjoy about it, though, but mostly I want to focus on what's not working, what doesn't feel good, because quite frankly, the entire hero talent doesn't feel that great right now, and talk about some potential solutions that I think Blizzard could try to implement. Just remember, I'm an idiot and I don't know anything about nothing. So, you know, this is just a video kind of venting a little bit and giving hopefully some not terrible solutions. So let me know what you think down below. Well, obviously once I get there. So Master of Harmony. If you are someone who's been playing in the War Within, but you haven't been keeping up on beta, I kind of want to do a quick little refresher what's changed that affects Master of Harmony specifically. So of course, you'll notice that there are it's an additional column here and 3 new talents in the tree. We also have a reworked capstone. They also removed Rising Sun Kick, which obviously no longer exists. So that means things like Vivacious Vivification is affected by Keg Smash instead. That also means Press the Advantage has been reworked as well, that'll all make sense in a second. So the talents that we're keeping, or that are in this tree, I should say, is our tier set from Season 3. So we're still going to gain Harmonic Surge buffs, and this is going to come from casting your Celestial Infusion or Celestial Brew, which is fine. That's great. Now, a cool change that they made that I personally like is that you can now proc the Harmonic Surge buff to like consume it, not just with Tiger Palm, but also with Vivify, which makes Vivacious Vivification a very good talent, right? And now it also is affected by Keg Smash, which has some cool interactions with like things like Exploding Keg and our new Apex talents. So that's all great. Now, the next one is Keg Smash is also going to guarantee an additional stack of Harmonic Surge. So this can be discharged once again with Tiger Palm or Vivify. What I also like about this, at least what I originally liked about it, is that it made this a lot more consistent. So on live servers currently in the War Within, it's based on vitality gain. So you could proc back to back, you can go a long time without proccing a free thing, and that would create a little bit of friction with like parsing and raid, for example, where this is mostly played, where there might be a boss where you're just getting like proc after proc after proc, and you're just able to like be a Tiger Palm bot and do really big damage. And so this makes it really consistent. And that's kind of what Brewmaster's being known for. Like they're known for having like controlled CDR on all of their abilities and a very static rotation that, you know, you can throw an ability here and there kind of in between things, but their rotation was generally fairly fluid. Keg Smash into Breath, you Blackout Kick into Tiger Palm, and then, you know, you fill with something. That's like the general overarching kind of rotation of Brew, if I had to simplify it over the years. That was definitely like alluding to some of my complaints about the hero talent, but we'll get to that in a second. Next, we have Meditative Focus. This is just a buff to your choice node between Press the Advantage and Blackout combo. Press the Advantage has also been reworked, which I'll talk about here in a second. This talent I don't really care about. It doesn't really affect what I'm going to be, I guess, my main talking points in this video. And last but not least, this is something that I talked about yesterday, but Coalescence has been reworked. Basically, it's no longer a 20% damage boost whenever things are afflicted by Aspect of Harmony, which is the dot. And Keg Smash no longer contributes to vitality being gained, but instead it's going to draw upon your available vitality, applying Aspect of Harmony without having to hit Celestia Brew. Originally, I thought this was a good change, but I think there are some issues with it. I think there's some weird snapshotting stuff that's going on, or it's not applying properly with the correct numbers, which is obviously fairly problematic, which I will get to hopefully shortly, or if I even remember. But yeah, this has been reworked, so Keg Smash no longer contributes, and now it will apply the dot, which is nice because you have basically infinite uptime of the dot on your enemies that you're in combat with. But the problem is that it's no longer a damage gain, so it kind of doesn't really matter. And so I think this change ultimately, while I was praising it yesterday, after testing it, I don't think it's the right direction. And I don't know what it's essentially trying to accomplish, but we'll talk about that. Okay, I'm going all over the place. Let me try to reel it back in. My brain's going crazy. I was going to just say that the dot, if it actually worked with Vital Flame, could be really cool. It currently doesn't, but if it did, that would be awesome. So yeah, let's walk it back. So what's the issue? Now, I said this on stream yesterday. I wanted to kind of verify it earlier today, so I jumped into a key or two, and I was like playing around with different builds and different ways to basically expel the stacks of Harmonic Surge, right? And like we've already talked about, Harmonic Surge comes from two things. It comes from casting Celestial Brew or Celestial Infusion and Keg Smash. So Keg Smash will give us one charge, as you can see right here. I can cast it again. There's a second charge. And then if I cast Celestial Infusion, I gain 2. So now I'm at 4. That reset Keg Smash because of my Apex talent. So I can now Keg Smash twice more. And now I'm at 6. So how many globals was that? Keg, Keg, Brew, Keg, Keg. In 4 globals, or 5 globals, I was able to get to max stacks. Now, what's the likelihood that I would have been able to get a Tiger Palm in between those? I'm not really sure because there's a lot of priority going on inside of the Brewmaster's kit. If you're playing Blackout combo, obviously you want a Blackout kick first. That's obviously fairly important. Depending on the size of the pull, Blackout kick could take priority over Tiger Palm in some cases, depending on tuning, of course. And so Tiger Palm has always been kind of like your filler spell. But in this case, you need to hit it regularly to expel these stacks. And so, in a baseline world without talents being involved, you're casting Keg Smash roughly every 7.5 seconds, give or take, which is fine. And you're casting Celestial Brew every 25, 30 seconds, maybe. And so that's manageable. The problem comes down to things like Exploding Keg now resetting Keg Smash, which again, I'm a big fan of when playing Shado-pan. I'm a big fan of when not playing the Apex talents. But then when we kind of introduce Bring Me Another, especially the capstone, every time we cast Celestial Infusion, we gain Empty Barrel. The first point causes Empty Barrel to reset Keg Smash and make it free. Sorry, not the first one, the second node. Sorry, I am dumb. And so what ends up happening here is that I could like Keg, Brew, Keg, and then Exploding, which gets me another Keg, back into a Keg, into a Celestial Brew, back into a Keg, Black Ox Brew reset, into another Celestial Brew, into a Keg, which then has the recharge. So I just probably wasted, I don't know, 6 stacks, 8 stacks. I'd have to actually do the math. I wasn't really paying attention. But basically what I'm trying to say is that it's very easy to accumulate a lot of stacks in a very short window. Now, the problem with that is right now I'm playing Press the Advantage. Press the Advantage on live servers currently works in such a way where when you get to the 10 stacks, your next cast of Keg Smash or Rising Sun Kick will replicate and it expels all of your stacks in one giant hit, which can feel fairly good. As people who probably play Press the Advantage, even though it's not a meta choice right now on live servers, people who play Press the Advantage, myself included on my alt, I love that giant hit. Even though I am wasting damage because I'm going to be overcapping on live, when you get that massive hit, it feels so good. What I think they should do with Press the Advantage, personally, why is my chair squeaking so much? Hold on. It would be nice if it wasn't the 11th attack, because what Press the Advantage is now is that when you hit 10 attacks of press, or when you have 10 successful autos, your 11th auto attack discharges that and it basically turns it into a Tiger Palm that hits at 100% effectiveness. First off, this is so bad, but I think there should be a trigger condition on this. I don't think it should be your next auto attack, but it should be once you hit 10 stacks, your next Blackout Kick also hits a Tiger Palm at 100% effectiveness, because then you can actually trigger it. And I think when this does trigger, they need to revert it back to, and this could be a bug in its current state, and maybe they mean to have it discharge all your stacks, but they need to make it so this 10th attack or 11th attack or your Blackout Kick, if they end up changing it, would also discharge it. Because then the whole minigame is not to necessarily get rid of all of your stacks and keep it at 0, but it would be keep it under 6 until Press the Advantage actually procs. Unfortunately, that is not how it currently works. When you eventually get this discharge, because it's casting a Tiger Palm and Tiger Palm discharges one charge of it, that's all it does. It does one charge. And you're going to be proccing it roughly every 30 seconds, give or take, depending on like different conditions. But all in all, Press the Advantage feels just kind of terrible, which sucks because I want Press the Advantage to be good. And it would be very cool if you played Master of Harmony with Press the Advantage. The other issue with Press the Advantage, and this is a small side tangent, is you lose out on significant overwhelming force damage. Because Rising Sun Kick is gone, you're not benefiting from that anymore. So now the only thing that's cleaves is Blackout Kick and Tiger Palm, which is still 25%, which I personally think they need to buff this number up to like 30 or 35 or 40%, especially when you're playing Press the Advantage. It's only Blackout Kick that's going to be gaining. So Master of Harmony is really down bad in terms of damage because of all the things they've lost. Also, just to note, Way of 1,000 Strikes also isn't affected by Rising Sun Kick anymore. So there could be a world where Path of Resurgence is better, but ultimately, it doesn't matter because you're discharging it anyways with the new capstone. Now, if we swap on over to Blackout combo, you're going to notice that, actually, let me also grab Elixir. Not that this matters, but it's just going to bug me. So Blackout combo is also kind of fine, but the issue with this is that you end up energy starving yourself pretty heavily. And so once you start gaining a bunch of stacks here, like I'm already at 3, 4, and now it's like, okay, I kind of might want to just spam Tiger Palm, but I also want to still make sure I'm keg smashing. But it's very easy, especially because I just got to, well, I hit Celestial Brew, but also keep in mind that I would be purifying, and Purifying Brew has a 20% chance to reset my keg smash, which means that I would probably prioritize that in most situations, because between keg smash's increased damage going into this patch with our capstone on Storm South Keg and single target, and the damage tuning of Empty the Barrel, which is our Apex talent, keg smash is probably going to take the priority in most cases. And so now it's like, you're going to notice that I'm energy starved, and I'm at 4 stacks, and I have keg smash coming up, and I have a Celestial Infusion, which means that I'm about to get not only 1, here's another 2, and then here's another 1 because of the reset. And so this is, I think, right now the biggest bottleneck for Brewmaster monks with Master of Harmony, is just the fact that we have way too much accumulation and not enough ways to actually discharge it. And of course, we can now start weaving Vivify into our rotation to discharge, except it's still going to cost energy, and it doesn't feel good when you are topped, you know? And it kind of disrupts the flow of the rotation. From, like, I don't exactly know why it does, but it feels pretty bad to have to hit Vivify randomly just to discharge these stacks. So my solution would be, I think personally, I think this could be an interesting change, or maybe even if Blizzard would want to implement this just to see how it would work. But it would be nice if Blackout Kick also discharged 1 stack. Maybe even instead of Vivify, or maybe if it's Blackout Kick, Tiger Palm, or Vivify. I think that would be nice. They could also make it work in such a way where, like, let's say Tiger Palm Critical Strikes discharge 2. Let's say maybe if it's a Blackout combo empowered Tiger Palm, it'll discharge 2 stacks. But basically, I think there needs to be a better way to discharge more stacks frequently, because running into the cap feels bad. Now, if you're an average player, you may not even think about it, and you may not care. But for people who want to min-max their damage, it's frustrating gaining a buff that you need to actively discharge with an ability, and gaining more of them than you're actually able to spend just feels like a damage loss. And it's a sizable one at that. So that, I think, is where Master of Harmony's issue is lying. And it's not just how frequently we gain. It's not these talents in particular. It's the fact that we're also getting a ton of cooldown reduction and keg smash resets through our Apex talent. Now, of course, you could just make the argument was like, well, don't play Apex talents, and then you're fine. But yeah, it's always coming back to like the same old song and dance of, well, if it's tuned really high and tuned really good and it offers group healing and all this other stuff, gonna want to play it. Like, you don't really have a choice per se if you're someone who is trying to optimize their damage and healing throughput. And so yeah, that's ultimately what it comes down to. There's some weird snapshotting stuff as well with our coalescence. I don't know. It's hard to look without having, like, getting really deep into logs, and I kind of wish detail still worked on beta. But the problem is if you have a bunch of stored vitality and you keg smash, and then let's say you're low on vitality, and then you keg smash again, it like overrides the dot, cutting it in half, and siphoning off that vitality, which I think is a bug or an issue, especially because it doesn't give us the 20% damage amp anymore. Now, if it still gave us a massive damage increase while the buff is active, it wouldn't ultimately matter. But it's like, it's kind of clunky and rough right now. So yeah. And then of course there's a bunch of other stuff, like if the aspect of Harmony dot also worked with like things like Vital Flame, I think that would be really, really, really interesting. Unfortunately, it just doesn't right now. And I don't think Blizzard will make it work. I just don't think that's their design intention with Vital Flame, but that would make it better. Like I said, Overwhelming Force getting a buff would also be really nice. Wave 1,000 Strikes maybe contributing more vitality now because of the removal of Rising Sun Kick. There's just like, there's so much wrong with this hero talent, and I've tried playing Press the Advantage, I've tried playing Blackout Combo, I've tried weaving in Vivifies, I've tried Tiger Palm spamming, I've tried to really cut back on like Keg Smash casts unless they're free. Like, it's really difficult to find a good rotation to expel these buffs regularly, and that's kind of my big issue right now. So anyways, let me know your thoughts down below. I just want to take a little bit of time to kind of draw attention maybe a little bit to this thing because it's frustrating because I want Master of Harmony to be good and I want it to be good in keys. I like Shado-pan a lot. I'm a Shado-pan stan, but I want both hero talents to be good because my favorite part about Brewmaster is the fact that hero talents, they feel different to play. They're both very rewarding. And if you are someone who is, I'm not a one trick, I would like to, you know, I play other classes and other tanks and I play the off specs and stuff. But if you're someone who just plays Brewmaster, it's very fun and very good when you have two hero talents and different playstyles that you get to either choose from or play with in kind of in any situation you want. So yeah, I hope Blizzard fixes and keeps and continues iterating and like I keep saying fix, but like iterating on Master of Harmony, because right now it feels extremely incomplete and it wasn't necessarily in a bad state in the War Within. I just think being a Tyropon bot feels bad. I think there should be additional ways to discharge Harmonic Surge stacks, but I'm going to keep talking in circles, so I'm going to just end the video here. Thanks for watching. Bye!